Welcome back, everybody, and hello to the new people. I'm sure we got some new people in chat. I'm just curious, if you guys are new and this is your first Ask Tim stream, just go ahead and like post me or something in the chat. I'm curious. I know all the regulars. I see, well, most of the regulars. I see Nemo. Let's see, Nemo. We got Losing, Vickez, Tor, obviously. He has to be here. You know, it's work mandated. And Krista. Who else I see Minnick Vince. Who else? Spencer's here. Thanks for repping the TH3D squad here. Dimitri, you are not new here. Don't lie. 3D4 Joe, that's a new name. Mears, I feel like Mears I've seen. I've watched many after the fact. Yeah, we've, have you guys noticed that we've been, when we have like content or like a topic on the stream that's worth cutting out and putting in his own video, we've been posting little micro clips. Do you guys like those? The views seem to say that people like them because people have been watching them. Vincent, yeah, I know I haven't seen you in a while. Dominic, I see Dominic, Dimitri, you guys are regulars. And Mr. BW's Electronics. I do have some new stuff for you guys. Derek said, I've been here since the beginning of the human malware. Not able to listen live. He's at home getting a new furnace installed. Oh, that's exciting. Hopefully you're getting a high efficiency one. My childhood is dead. Oh my god, I'm not gonna lie. I would be mildly excited about getting a new furnace, especially one that works, if things weren't working. Micro clips are great. I've been checking them out. Yeah, so basically what happens is I download the stream. And then I go back and I flip through, and it's actually kind of easy. I don't know, maybe if I should do something for my recording, just have like a little button or something that plays a sound clip so I can see it on the meter. Oh, 3D4 Joe changed his name. Dang it. All right. So new stuff we got. I do have 2 new products that are going to be on the shop by the end of the week. We got to take photos. Do you guys know what these are? We got some LDO goods here. They are genuine LDO goods. What do you guys think? We are going to be also releasing a mount for the multi-mount. So if you guys have our multi-mount system or thinking about getting the multi-mount system, why are you guys barking? There's no one here. Hey, shush, stop with the boofing. So yeah, we'll be getting the Orbiter V2 extruder mounts done. We have a bunch of these. They just came in yesterday. So if you guys are not familiar with the Orbiter, we are trying to get more extruder options just to have more variety. And here we go. We got the LDO Orbiter V2, genuine LDO motors on the back here. And we got Bondtech gears on the inside. These are really nice. Now, I did notice there's not a ton of mounts out for printers. So like I said, we're going to be getting the multi-mount support on this. So you'll be able to use this with the multi-mount. But yeah, really nice quality on these. So if you guys are looking for a tiny extruder for a custom setup, we'll be having these in our shop. I have over 50 of them already here. I just got to take product photos, which is why I have this one here. And I'm probably going to be putting it on my my Bertha printer. So Bertha is it started its life as an AlphaWise U10, and it currently is basically a custom printer. The only thing original on it is like the motors, the frame, and the heated bed. Everything else is custom. So right now there's I think it's an EasyBoard V1 in there, and I need a printer to put this guy into. So we talked about the Monster 8s. I want to get the firmware done for these. So I'm going to be doing the firmware for this one, and then subsequently we'll be selling these. So we have a bunch of these actually in stock with full driver sets, USB cables, heat sinks for the drivers and everything. So we'll be selling these. And then for just firmware support, I'll also use that printer to test out doing the firmware for the Octopus V11. So I got 2 universal boards I'm doing firmware for. The MKS Monster 8, this is my preferred one just because MKS has a better reputation of making quality parts than Big Tree Tech, as we all know. But we are going to be doing firmware for both of them, just like we did with the other Big Tree Tech boards. So, but yeah, new stuff coming. So the LDO stuff, I'll be taking photos for this and stocking in the shop. I just got to take those, and I'm also going to be getting the code into our firmware for the Orbiter V2 filament sensor. So we also have their filament sensor. And it's interesting because it works as a normal filament sensor, but it's also got an unload button on it. And I'm going to see if I can get this working with Marlin. So right now, their official support for it is just as a normal filament sensor. You know, the filament runs out, it sends a signal to the board. I'm going to see if I can get it to do more on the Marlin side of things. I think I will be able to. Now, we're going to need 2 I/O pins. I'm going to document like wiring, so if you just want to use it as a basic filament sensor, this is how you wire it. If you want to use it with the button, once I figure out how to get it working in our software, I'll document that as well. So, but the nice thing about this is this just snaps on top of the extruder, so it just clips right on top. So we got 50 of these and 50 of the extruders, and these will be right around 64, 65 bucks for the extruder, and I think these are, the retail on these is like 19 for the filament sensor for it. So, and I'll put a bundle together if you want to get the extruder and the filament sensor in one thing, and we'll do like a little bit of a discount on there. So that's all I have for new stuff. So literally after this stream, I'm going to be finishing up our booth design. So we are doing a new booth for Rummerf. This is what I have so far. I'm not a graphic designer, so this is what I have so far for our main banner. Then we got some QR codes here that go to the website. And I did like a little pattern here with some like little clip art from our product logos and stuff. So like we got the EasyAVL sensor there and our EasyFlex logo, and then a bunch of other like spools and stuff. This is what I'm kind of thinking. So this is the main banner here, and then we'll have 2 side banners flanking it. And like this is just showing table. It's very crude. We were talking about this in our stuff, but I think on the side banners we'll probably put some product photos, and then the middle one will be kind of generic. I don't know what else we're going to put in here. I think I might have like a couple more badges with like different brand logos we have for like our Easy ABLs or Easy Out kits or multi-mount, that kind of stuff. Just kind of have those on this banner here. So, but I've been messing with this today. We need to get this done so we have it in time. But I will switch over here to the Wheel of Names because we need to pull our drawing for last month's giveaway. I do not have a form. I do not have a form up for this month. So I will make one and you guys can enter after the stream, but I'll get that updated. I totally forgot with everything else going on. We've been having a lot of bad storms here, so I did not sleep very well last night. Luckily, our property didn't get hit, but a couple days ago, my buddy's neighborhood, about 5 minutes from us, they actually had a tornado rip through there, and his house had some damage. His neighbor's house, the garage completely got leveled, and a bunch of trees were uprooted, so I'm thankful that nothing major happened here. We just had a couple of trees down, and luckily they didn't hit anything. So it's been crazy. I was actually looking at my security camera footage, and one of my cameras went offline. I don't know if water got into it or whatnot, but it was right after the big storm. It's no longer working, so I got to fix one of those. But it was like completely like really quick ripping through. So like I can actually show you guys here. So like this is the camera that was out back, and like right around 6 something, because I remember I woke up, it just ripped through. So you can see here, and it was crazy how dark it got, or visibility wise I should say. Was it at 6? I thought it was during, oh there it is. Yeah, so like it just ripped through pretty quick here. So like it went from clear to like nothing. That was this morning. You can see that roll in. And this camera actually had pretty good visibility. This is the one that's down. I don't know what happened to it. But I'll probably have to replace it. It's like up and down. But yeah, like all of our other ones, like some of the ones, the one I had in the garage, you couldn't even see the outbuilding from there. But yeah, we just had a couple storms roll through really quick. There were some at night. I want to say like at, I don't know, 3 o'clock? I can't remember. There was hail too at one point. I'm trying to remember when those were. But it stormed pretty bad. Was it around 1? I'm like trying to remember when we had the storms, because we had a bunch of hail too. Anyways, I won't bore you with my my camera footage here. Sorry about that. Went off on a little tangent there. So anyways, let's go ahead and spin the wheel and see who won the giveaway for last month. Oh, is it one of our regulars? Los, you got the win. You got the giveaway for last month, for March. So you're going to have a $100 TH3D gift card coming your way. So I'll go ahead and send that after the stream. So congratulations. There we go. Let me find out here. I'm just checking. I need to check chat real quick, see what you guys are going on about. Let's see. All right. Let me find here. All right. All right, let's see what questions we have. We got a test. You guys need to put questions in the chat. There's only like 2 decent questions right now. So you guys need to ask questions. I don't have anything to occupy the time after this. Like yesterday, we played with the Tina 2. I'm wondering if we need to move these streams, like if people just aren't able to watch them at the time that we have right now. I have no idea. So, all right. So the first question, Jeff Davenport, it says MKS Skipper MB question mark. I'm assuming he meant when I was holding this up. This is the no, we're not messing with the Skipper. This is the Monster 8 V2. So that's the one we're doing. Going to be selling and doing code for. It's got a ton of inputs and outputs. It's got CAN bus support, USB, tons of stepper drivers, tons of MOSFETs for hot ends and fans and stuff. And then they'll be coming with 8 2209 drivers that can run in UART mode. So, and we're also including some really big heat sinks on them. So like I noticed the Big Tree Tech ones come with these tiny little square heat sinks. We got big massive ones to stick on these so the drivers run cool. So, all right. So go ahead and keep asking questions. Next one is from Derek. He said on my, I don't know why YouTube does this weird stuff. The bed on my Ender 3 Max very worked on the outside. The EasyABL can't probe far enough on the left side to compensate, and the filament won't stick. I had to switch back to glass. Any other options? So what you can do in that situation is you can get a different mount. We only have our one probe mount, but you could design your own probe mount to move it either more towards the center of the hot end or to the left to go ahead and try to probe. I mean, the reality is if you can't probe it, it's not going to be able to get a reading. And the software does do basically like an extrapolation of the grid data. So basically, like if it sees the bed, let's say you got like, I don't know, like a 30 or 40 millimeter strip on the left that it can't probe. Well, the closest probe points that it's taking a reading from, if they're showing that the bed's slanting this way, it's going to assume that that slant is going to continue towards the edge of the bed. And that works for most, printer beds. So, but in other cases, you would have to move where the probe is. And that's with any probe, not just ours. The other thing you could do is there's also like manual mesh leveling you can play with. There's also, and this is something I have not used in years because I've never had to use it, but there is also a feature in Marlin, and it's the lines to set it up are not in our configs, but you could add them back in, is what's called UBL or Unified Bed Leveling, where it allows you to do not only the automatic probing points, but you can also then take manual probes and merge it with the auto mesh. It's very involved. That's why I don't do it, and I just haven't had the need for it. My printers get close enough on the bed leveling where everything sticks. But the easiest thing would be to just move the probe mount to another location on the hot end, where that's printing a new like hot end design. A lot of the printers you'll find designs on Thingiverse or printables or whatever STL sites you find that will give you a new hot end mount, which will usually change where you can mount the probe on, if that makes sense. And a lot of times I've downloaded other people's designs and just pulled it into Fusion and slapped a little 18 millimeter ring so I can put the probe on there. But yeah, like basically you're, regardless of what probe, if you're using like the BL Touch or if you're using our EasyABL, which you have, you're gonna need to basically put it in a location where the probe can reach the bed. The other thing you also try doing is lowering the EasyABL, I think it's the edge setting, I think it's called. I have looked at it so many times, but I can't remember what it is. Hang on, I gotta pull up the firmware config. But you could try decreasing the edge so it tries to probe further over on the left as far as it can, and that is the, come on VS Code, what is that exact setting called? Yeah, so it's EasyABL probe edge. So by default it's 35. You can try going down to like 10 or 15. The important part is on the other side, because it's gonna expand the mesh probe area out on all 4 corners. So what you want to make sure is that when you lower that value, that the probe is still all the way over the bed when it's probing. So make sure it's not like on the right side, because it sounds like your probe is mounted to the right of the hot. I think on the Ender 3 Max, the stock probe location is on the right, to the right of the hot, if you're looking at the printer head on. So if you want to get more over to the edge, you can, or more over to the left, you can go ahead and decrease that probe edge size, but it's also going to expand it out on all 4 sides. Now, you could modify the source code to have different settings for different edges, but that's a little more involved. I think I can tell you how to do that. Let me double check, because I know they changed that in Marlin. It's the probing margin setting. And I think they have it so... I'm looking here, hang on. Yeah, I think you would have to actually modify the back end code, and I can't remember where that is off the top of my head, because if I'm looking at here, the stock Marlin config probing margin is the term they use, and if you look at our code, the easy ABL probe edge is what's setting that probing margin. So you could change this. I would say try go down to like 15. That'll get you 20 millimeters closer, and then just make sure when it's probing on the other sides that the probe is all the way on the bed. That may be enough to do it. You could also try turning off. I totally forgot about this. You can also try turning off the extrapolate beyond grid. That's where it's assuming that tilt. So that might also be a setting you can try changing. So you could just comment this out here and then recompile the firmware and update your printer and see. That's also a setting we tell people to try to mess with. If for some reason you can't move the probe closer to the hot end or move it to the left or the right, this will change how it will do the assumptions of the probe area, which may just solve your issue. So hopefully that helps. All right. I'm sniffling a lot because my sinuses are all sorts of crazy. Like the pressure from all this crazy weather is messing with my head. So if you hear me sniffling, that's why. All right. So Joshua Ulcer says, is it okay to use Wi-Fi smart plugs to power on and off printers? My printer seems to not get enough power after plugging into one. So you could have just a crappy smart plug. We sell smart plugs for that purpose. They're called our easy plugs. I use them on all the machines here. If you notice, all my printers are off right now. So that's because these all have our EasyPi Octoprint kits on them, and they shut the printer down after it's done printing. So here's the thing. I have purchased a lot of random Wi-Fi plugs over the years, and I haven't had any people that like or haven't had any plugs that haven't worked. Like, they've all worked. It could just be that you have a defective, could be that you just have a defective plug. Like if you have multiple ones, try a different one. But yeah, there's no issue turning the printer on and off. The thing you want to make sure is to check that maybe you have a low amperage plug, or maybe you have a plug that the manufacturer lied about what the relay is in, so it's getting voltage drop. Our plugs are rated up to 10 amps, and that's actual load. It's been tested here. Like, I have actually loaded them well past that too, but making sure that they do sustain the correct output with that load on it. So that could be the other thing. You could just have a plug that maybe the manufacturer cheaped out on the relay that's inside, and it's not actually able to carry the current that it's rated for. Most of your 3D printers will draw, and it varies. So like my 5 Plus, that's a big draw. That's like a 6 amp draw from the wall. But like an Ender 2 and Ender 3, they're typically, during the heat up cycle, they're only about 2 to 3 amps out of the wall. And then once they get to their temperatures and the heaters are just being pulsed on and off to maintain temperatures, they drop to less than an amp. They're not pulling that much power. So I would probably try a different plug. If you want to try ours, now ours is local control only, so you can control it with your phone. There's no apps. It just has a web interface. If you have an Octoprint setup, you can control it through Octoprint. I also know the Clipper UIs, those support Tasmota, and that's what our plugs are running. So if you guys are Clipper users and you want a Wi-Fi plug, they do work with any sort of Tasmota integrations. And as far as I know, I'd messed with the Clipper integration. It did work fine because our plugs are running Tasmota. I'll post a link in the chat here. All right. So there we go. That's our plug. So, and our plug, because we're all about local control, I don't have there's no apps or anything. So if you want to use them with something like, your Google Assistant, like I have the Google Homes here, or your Amazon Echoes, they do have Wemo emulation. So I think Amazon works directly with the Wemo, so they'll show up as a Wemo plug. I know I had a couple of our customers asking about that. So give me one second here. But yeah, but the Google Home doesn't pick them up. So what I do, and this is with all my local devices. So I have all my smart home stuff local controlled. I don't want to be relying on somebody else's cloud. I don't like the Tuya stuff. I don't trust it. Like I don't trust all these third parties, especially with all the all the compromise stuff. And like, if you guys, I don't know if you guys heard, like Ring, they've been providing video footage to law enforcement without consent of their users, including like footage of inside this guy's house. And one of them, I don't know why he has a camera in the bedroom, but they gave them that. I do not trust at all these companies with my data. And that includes my smart home. So what I do is I have all my stuff talk to my Home Assistant installation. Home Assistant is an open source home automation platform. It's really great. If you guys haven't checked it out, highly recommend it. Octoprint integrates with it. A lot of third-party stuff, including the Tuya stuff, will integrate with it. You know, it's kind of a pain to set up, but like our plugs integrate natively with that because they run Tasmota, and Home Assistant does it. So what I have is everything talks to Home Assistant, and then Home Assistant interfaces with the Google Home. So basically, when I tell it to turn something on or off, it sends a request to my Home Assistant server, and then Home Assistant sends it to the device. So, but if you just want to use it as a basic web interface, I can actually show you what it looks like right now. Let me pull up one of my printers here. So just for example, so like this is my Ender 3 S1 here, and you can see once the interface loads, this will turn red, and I can just turn this on, and my printer will turn on. Now, if I wanted to, I don't know the IP address because I always use it over Octoprint here, but if I want to go ahead and pull up the plugs interface, it has its own web interface here. So I can actually turn it on and off. So you could like bookmark this page for the plug for its IP address, and then you could turn it on and off through that. So it does have a native native web interface, so you can just easily turn it on and off. And you can see here, it's off. I click here, turns on. So my printer's probably wondering what the hell is going on. So yeah, smart plugs are perfectly fine to use with your printer. My guess would be is if you're getting weird voltage issues with the printer plugged into it, it's probably just a crappy smart plug. There's a lot of just no-name brands out there. That's one of the reasons we came out with ours. Also, if you guys are in the home automation space and you guys have ever like reflashed stuff, a lot of them you can't reflash, and plugs are one of those things where they're really hard to open without breaking because they're I think hermetically sealed is the right term. It's like some sort of ultrasonic thing, but there's no screws. So you got to basically pop the glue and then solder onto the board. A lot of them, either you have to solder onto the board, you got to do some janky Wi-Fi interception thing for it to work. So, but yeah, I would just try a different plug. And we do actually have the plugs in stock. We just got those back in stock. We sold out of them last week, but we just got a new shipment. So, all right. 3 Experience says, are you carrying Microswiss nozzles? How are they? So we aren't carrying their nozzles right now, but if you buy the hot end sets with them, they do include one of their nozzles. I like their nozzles. I don't have an issue with them. We just haven't got them in yet because I don't know if people would buy them. We do have our own really good nozzles as well that also fit the Microswiss hot end. So one of those being our Easy Flow nozzles. Those are our premium nozzles. Those are copper nozzles with a wear-resistant plating on them, so you can print whatever you want on there, and the heat transfer is really good. And the MK8 versions fit the Microswiss hot end, so we don't have them. I don't have an issue with their nozzles. I didn't see the need to stock them right now. I mean, maybe we'll look at getting some in, but right now we already have carried nozzles. We carry also basic MK8 nozzles in brass and steel as well. So, all right. Christopher Klein says, for my CST V3, I'm debating between the multi-mount with Dragonfly and Tough Extruder. I already have this, or getting another Microswiss NG. I have these on my other machines. What are your thoughts? So I got to double check. I don't know if the NG fits the CR10 V3. I'm pulling up our page here because we do carry the NG. Let me double check. I don't want to say it doesn't when it does because we did put their compatibility on here, and I'm looking at here, and they do not have it listed as a compatible one. I just realized our NGs are out of stock, so we will have to reorder those. I'm checking the regular direct drive ones, and yeah, that doesn't fit. So basically, Now, I'm not saying you can't make it work like the NG or the other one on your CR10 V3. It's just not going to be an easy upgrade is the thing, because that's a different printer setup. Now, I actually put the NG on my Ziltech Gear V2, which is basically like a CR10 clone, and I had to do some modification for it, but I have it on there and it works great. So I'm just going to put a note here. Yeah, we got to reorder Micro Swiss, because I didn't realize we were out of stock. Also, we haven't run inventory, so that makes sense that we didn't catch that yet. But I mean, if on the CR10 V3, like that's a machine that does work with the multi-mount, that does need an adapter plate. Now, if you already purchased that, did you get the adapter plate with it? Because we actually discontinued the adapter plate for that because nobody was buying it. And Tor says that there's a specific version for the CR10 V3 for the NG. We don't carry that one. We only carried the two most popular ones. Because the CR10 V2 and V3, those were not very popular models, to be completely honest. I thought they were decent, but they just weren't very popular. So, but yeah, I mean, if you already got the multi-mount and you got the adapter plate and everything for the CR10 and V3, I would probably just do that. You know, you already have it. Might as well use it. But the NG, I really like the NG. I have the NG on my CR10, my Gear V2, which is a CR10 clone, and it works great. So, all right. Mark Rouleau is asking, can you go into the advantage of running in UART mode and what the other mode drivers can run in? So when you see, and one of our easy board runs our drivers in UART mode, and to dumb it down as simple as possible, UART mode means the processor on the board, so the actual, you know, the actual CPU here on the board is able to have bidirectional communication with the drivers. And why that is nice is you can have it send back diagnostic data. So if the driver's throwing an error, it can tell the processor it's throwing an error, and you can be like, oh, there's an error on my X driver. You know, it could be an open wire, it could be the driver's failing, etc. The big thing is you can set your currents for your motors digitally. So there's no, you know, if you notice these drivers here, these actually have adjustments on here for backwards compatibility. These little tiny screw things, these little potentiometers, on boards like the Creality boards that have the Trinamic drivers, that's how you have to set the current going to your motor. So you literally, while the printer's on, by the way, while the printer's on, you have to take a screwdriver and adjust these little potentiometers while the power's on. So if you slip, you can easily short stuff out. And then you have to take a multimeter measure. Well, in UART mode, it does it all digitally. You never have to touch these. So like the Creality 427 boards, the 422 boards, like basically any of these basic printer boards, that's how you set the current going to your motors. Whereas like on our EasyBoard V2, where we're running the drivers in UART mode, and like this board, when we come out with those matching drivers, this will also be running in UART mode. It'll all be able to be set digitally. Like that's a huge thing for me, because like even though I have all the tools to adjust the VREF, and I've done it, there's actually a video on our channel showing how to do it. It is a pain in the ass. So the other thing, in addition to setting the driver current, you can also change different thresholds for, like on the Trinamic drivers, you can change the threshold for when it's in stealth chop versus transitioning into what's called spread cycle mode. So spread cycle is a little bit louder, but it's more torque. So you can actually have the firmware dynamically change the mode of the driver during a print. So if it sees a really high speed move, it'll actually put the driver into the higher torque mode, which will be louder, but you're not going to be as prone to losing steps. Versus the stealth chop mode. The other thing too is you can set your driver stepping mode. So that's all done digitally then. So you can set 1/8 stepping, 1/16, you know, 1/32, or even on the Trinamics up to 1/256 native stepping. The thing is, like, it gives you so much more control of the drivers, and that is my preferred method. I actually, on my Ziltech Gear V2, it had a board with socketed drivers. It's one of the Robin Nanos, and I actually put 2209s in there and wired them up in UART mode so that printer can be controlled digitally. Like, that is the way to go. As far as I know, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, as far as I know, I don't think Creality has any boards out right now that offer digital control of the drivers at all. Even the ones with Trinamics. I can't think of a single one that comes to mind. I think they're all running what's called standalone mode, where they're just in a dumb mode and they work like regular drivers and they're a little bit quieter. So there's still a benefit, but UART mode is far superior to just running the drivers in standalone mode. All right. Frank was asking, did you get our outgoing email fixed yet? Yeah, we did. I updated the post and the video title. I hate when companies change stuff, and apparently this is a common thing. Yesterday we had incoming emails were going in. We have a mailbox it's just an Exchange mailbox. We use Microsoft 365 for all of our internal stuff. And what happened was they thought that us sending out emails with the order information were like phishing emails for like fake orders. Even though we've been using it this way for over 5 years now, they just rolled out a new security policy and it just flagged it as, oh, you guys are sending out fake invoice emails. No call, no notification in my admin panel, no email alerts, because by default they don't set it up to alert. So, which is just absolutely fucking stupid. That literally took up my whole day yesterday because I had to then go manually resend, because there's not an easy way to I can't just drag, log into the mailbox and drag the sent into the outgoing and have it reset it. No, I had to manually resend 350 emails out to our customers with order confirmations, shipping stuff, ticket responses. None of that shit was going out. And I was just like, this is terrible, because like we're running a sale right now. I should have mentioned that we're having a sale right now. Go check our site. But I was like, this is a terrible idea. Like, at least have some sort of notification. But yeah, it's working now. And we have policies. I tweaked their default policies, set up alerting and everything. So if it happens again, we'll know, instead of us going, why are we not getting emails? The reason we found it out is I was testing. If you guys noticed, we actually revised our contact form. And the reason we did that was because it actually goes right into our help desk system. So it's the previous one, we were using WP Forms, which is a nice form solution. So like if you want to contact us here, so we have a drop down here, and this will go right to the department. So if you click one of these, it'll open a new tab, you put your email in, and it'll do the thing. So, but I also revised this, so this will go right to whatever department. So it's a little easier, like, you got sales questions, you can tech support, order information, you need us to print something for you. It'll just go right there. I'm gonna, there. So this goes right into the ticket system. So before, when you filled out that form, it would go ahead and send an email, and then the system would process it. This is putting it right in here. So Tim, just put some fake in there. So, but yeah, you can then go ahead and, we have different things you can select and conditional fields and everything. So this puts it all also into different attributes, so we can actually do searches against different things. It's just a nicer system. It's simple. You can, directly add attachments and stuff. Like, it's nice. So, yeah. All right. Let's see. The next one is, since says, any idea if Mark going to do the adaptive mesh and purge? Hang on one second. Don't know where that came from. Do you have any ideas if Marlon can do the adaptive mesh and purge, like how the new MK4 and some Vorons do? I'd love to only have the probe the arm going to be used by the print. Don't really get the point of this, because if you're taking the same amount of probe points, it's gonna take about the same. I thought Marlin had a way to specify the mesh area, and the MK4 is running Marlin. But yeah, I mean, I don't see the point of it, especially on a small bed. I think it's more of just a marketing checkbox than actually something that I think would be usable. Like, I saw that, I was like, that's neat, but like, you're probing fast anyways, does it really matter? I don't know. I don't think Marlin has it natively, but Prusa is using Marlin, and their source code will be posted, so I'm assuming it can be backported. But I feel like that's just more complexity, because the printer itself doesn't know what the size of your G code It's just running the commands. So there would almost have to be something in the slicer that would then, maybe be additional G-code command that tells it where the print is at, and then the firmware would then have to take that information and then modify the mesh that's going to probe in that area. I mean, it could be done, but I don't see the point of it, because then what are you also going to do? Like, change how many points? Like, if you're running a 3x3 grid, which is what I run on all mine, you'd probably still want to run at least a 3x3 grid in that same area, which at that point just probe the whole bed. I don't know. I don't see the point of it, other than just being able to say your printer can do that. So Mears says, I installed the EasyVL kit on my Monoprice Select Plus. That's a printer I haven't messed with in a while. That's the only printer, fun fact, that's the only printer we have that still is running Unified 1 because of its damn screen. There was one guy, I think it was Sebastian Endrevit, I'm probably saying his name wrong, but he had the ADV i3++ firmware, and that would, like, laid on top of Marlin, and he also, like, somehow reverse engineered the LCD code on that, because that's one of those touchscreens. That's one of the printers that is actually still running our older version. The older version works fine in there. I'm just surprised if some people are still using that printer. Like, holy crap. But yeah, so he's asking, what do the 9 values mean? Should they all be equal or almost? So the values are just the readings on the bed. They're never going to be the same between all of them. That's how it gets the data. So those values are what the sensor is reading. So, like, I can actually pull those up. So one of the cool things is if you are running an Octoprint setup, like our EasyPi kits, on those they come pre-installed with the plugin for doing the bed mesh. And I can actually show you here, and I think I have it configured. So I'm turning the printer on here. I believe I have this configured. Yeah, so this is the G-code commands to update the mesh. So right now this is an older mesh in here, but the printer will connect in a sec. I just turned it on, and this is what my bed looks like. Okay, and I'll make this bigger. So if I hit here, if I hit update mesh now, it's going to run some G-code commands. And then it's going to heat the bed up and do the probe. So this will take a minute or two because it's got to heat the bed up. You see there. So the code here heats the bed up. It does a G28. It turns bed leveling off. It heats it. It waits for it to heat. It does a little chirp, and then it's going to drop the bed down. What's it called? Wait, hang on. I'm reading this correctly. So. Yeah, so wait till the bed's warmed up. It's going to do a chirp, and then it's going to create the bed mesh levels, and then it will go ahead and reduce the temperature reporting rate, run the probing, and then it'll go ahead and cool everything down. So that's what it's doing right now. So it's going to heat my bed up, take the readings, and then spit the data out. So once this bed's at 60°C, it'll do that. So we'll come back. But I think on one of my other printers, I probably have a mesh already in. I probably should have showed you that. But the data is going to be different on the points, just because your bed is not, especially on these printers, it's not going to be flat. So you can see here on my Ender 3S1, and this prints just fine like this. That's the whole point of the auto bed leveling systems. As you can see there, it's got a tilt. So, and you can see here on X, so this is my Z. So my front, let me see if I'm reading this correctly. So 0, 0. Okay, so my front left corner is kicked up by 0.739, and my back right is kicked down by 0.76. Now, if I wanted to get this perfectly flat, I could put like little shims underneath the solid bed mounts, like little washers and stuff. And a lot of people do that. You can. It's better to do that, but this also will print just fine. That's the whole point. You can see the bed's relatively flat if we look at it. It's just tilted. This is probably due to the bed carriage more than anything. So you could do that, but yeah, your values are never going to be the same. You see here, so 0.739, then we go down to 0.53, and then we're at 0.162. So that's a slant. So basically my bed is like slanted a little bit like this. So this one's almost at temp, so I'll show you guys what that looks like. But for the visualizer plugin, you actually have to go and configure, depending on what firmware you have, what leveling you have. They have documentation here, and since our firmware uses the bilinear bed leveling, all you gotta do is copy this, and then you paste it in here, and then it does the needful. So here we go. Right now, it's taking a mesh. And then if we go here, if we look at the terminal here, there we go. I heard the beep. That beep is so loud. So here's my grid on this printer. And like I said, it's going to be off. This one's not as bad as my S1. You can see this one here. So this is my front left of my bed. My back is kicked up a little bit. And this is all pretty good. So aside from my back corner, everything else is pretty in spec. But that's you can see the warp on that. Look, it's like a freaking potato chip. That's an Ender 3 bed for you. But this is why we put auto bed leveling on yours to compensate for these beds being just terrible. So, but it works. You know, it's a hell of a lot cheaper because if you go and try to get an actually flat bed, you are paying hundreds and hundreds of dollars for an actually flat bed. And even then, it's still not going to be perfectly flat. It'll be a lot better than it was, but it's not going to be perfectly flat. So, but yeah, the values will be different, and it's going to be different on every single printer, and even between heating cycles. So if I cool that down and then heat it back up, it's going to be slightly different readings because every time the bed heats up, it warps slightly different every single time. That's one of the reasons why I go ahead and run a fresh mesh every time I run a print. And with the Easy ABL, it doesn't take that long. So, all right. 3 Experiment says, does the Monster 8 support the Easy ABL directly without the adapter box? I want to simplify the wiring on my printers. No, we do not recommend using the adapter box or using the Easy ABL without the adapter box. It's not meant to do that. And the reason for is the sensors like a higher voltage. So the 12 to 24 volts from your printer power supply, and your end stop pins on your boards are either 3.3 or 5 volt. And why we do that is that board not only provides power filtering for the sensor, so it's making sure the power going in the sensor is completely smooth, even if you have a crappy power supply, even if your bed and your hot end are turning on and off, making the voltage sag. It's got a capacitor array in there that filters out stuff and also provides a little bit of reserve power for it. So basically the sensor is getting consistent voltage, because what we found was if you have it hooked directly up to the printer with no way to filter the power, and the way we have the board set up with the diode on there for the reverse polarity protection, the printer also cannot drain the capacitor that's on that board, and that capacitor actually has enough reserve power in it to run our sensor for about 10 seconds once the power's disconnected. But in addition to giving it good power, it also is providing full isolation of the signal side of your control board from the higher voltage from your power supply. So God forbid, let's say something goes wrong, either the sensor fails and decides to send voltage where it shouldn't, or the wires get pinched and short something out. It's only going to damage the Easy ABL control board itself. It's not going to actually send any high voltage into your control board and damage it. And that's the best way to do it. It's not the cheapest way to do it, but is the best way to do it to provide that signal. So there's an actual, where is it? Usually I have an Easy ABL board floating around here somewhere. I do, look at that. So this is not in the case, this is just the bare board. So the little guy here, this little chip here, this is called an optocoupler. And so what that does is when the sensor triggers, it turns on a little infrared LED inside, and there's a collector there that's sensitive to that. And when the sensor turns on, it turns on the LED inside the one side of the optocoupler, and then that material, the collector, allows the signal to pass through, and that's how your board knows it's triggered. And again, there's tons of different optocouplers. We're using ones from Toshiba, which I'm sure you guys have heard of. They're very fast. I could cut the cost down on this by using cheaper ones, but what I found is that the faster ones provide more consistent results versus the cheaper ones, because basically the sensor's at the mercy of that optocoupler. So if you use a cheap optocoupler that's not consistent, it can actually make the sensor look like it's not very accurate. So that board does a lot more than you think. It's not just a little dumb thing that doesn't do anything. It's providing power filtering, it's providing isolation for the signal from your board. So if something happens, it doesn't ever send voltage to the board. There's no electrical connection between the end stop plugs and the higher voltage that comes from your power supply at all. So, all right, wow, we only got 10 minutes left. Holy crap, that flew by. Does it fly by for you guys watching, or is it just me? Let's see here. 3D Makerspace 80 says, not 3D printing related question. Can you show us around your Home Assistant setup in various flows? I could do this. I'm definitely gonna have to use the restroom, but after I'll do the official outro, and then I'll put like I'll BRB screen up, and I can go through some of the stuff I have after like we do the official stream wrap up. How's that? I don't know if you're still here. If you're still here, I will. If not, then I won't do it today. Jonathan's asking, why are people like, holy crap, guys. Okay, we're gonna talk about this. Let's talk about Prusa. Okay, I think Prusa's printers are good printers. I personally will not buy any more. And the reason is I have an MK3S. We had the artifacting on the side of the walls that the prints. There's a GitHub thread. I can't remember. It's like 501 or something or 502. It's a known issue. And we had to spend, like, this is a printer we bought for $1,000. It was a fully assembled one. Tried going back and forth with them. Their support was no help. They tried blaming the parts, and they're the ones that printed the parts. So we reprinted the parts. That didn't fix it. It's a known issue with their printers. Where there's like these artifacts that appear on the side of the wall. None of my Chinese printers have those problems. So the way we fixed it was I took the whole Prusa hot end off and put a Bondtech setup on there, which was another $250. So I'm $1,250 in this printer, and it doesn't print better than my Ender 3 that's got like $400 of our upgrades onto it. So Ender 3 plus $400 of TH3 upgrades, I'm still at 600 something bucks for an Ender 3 with all the upgrades, and it prints better than my Prusa. So I will not buy any more Prusas. I think their target demographic are people that care about having that like 24/7 technical support where they'll hold your hand through every little thing. I don't need that. I don't think it's worth the money. Like, I don't have a problem with their printers. I don't really think they're like overpriced. I just, for someone like me, they don't provide the value. And I'm also a little disappointed that like when there's all these other printers that are coming out that are doing things better, like they're still with that i3 bed slinger design. And I don't hate bed slingers, but like at $1,100 for the fully built printer, that's a hard sell, to be completely honest. Especially when something like the Soval SV06 exists for what, $200 to $250 that does most of the stuff that the MK4 does. And hell, the MK4 has drivers that are severely outdated compared to what even the SV06 comes with. The SV06 comes with Trinamic 2209s. Prusa is still using the old TMC 2130s, which I think came out. I'm gonna look it up when their release date was. But they're really old drivers, and I don't know why they're still using those old drivers. And I saw people complain about the printed parts. I don't really care about printed. If a printer has printed parts, as long as they're good quality, I don't care. I'm trying to think I'm trying to see when those actually came out. I don't know if I could do that from the data sheet. Let me see. Because I think the data sheet should have some information on it. But I'm just surprised that they're using such old drivers on that printer. My theory is that because they're probably doing it to save on cost. That's just a theory. I don't have anything to back that up. I'm just going here. So here, first version based on the 5130 data sheet. So yeah, so these drivers, according to this, came out in 2014. They're almost 10 years old at this point. So they're 9 years old at this point. When are the 2209s coming? We'll pull up the data sheet for those. Let's see, because I know those came out, the 2209s came out later. Let's find out. 2018, preliminary work. New eval board added. So 2019, February 2019, so almost 5 years later, the 2209s. Like, I was shocked when I saw that they're using 2209s on this printer, or 2130s, I should say, on this printer, not 2209s. Because I remember, like, especially the Prusa fanboys and like a bunch of other people were getting on us for using 2208s on our EasyBoard V1, because that's what we designed around for. But the thing is, I don't think Prusa was designing this board, you know, almost 9 years ago. I don't know why they went with the 2130s over like 2209s. Who knows? Especially when the 2130s are also known to have weird issues. I think that's where a lot of the artifacting issues came from on the MK3 and the MK3S, is because of the 2130s. I think if you were to swap the board out to something with even 2208s on it or 2209s, I think that issue would have gone away, but their printer's not that easy to swap boards out. You have to print a whole new thing and recable stuff. I wasn't doing that, so I just bought the Bondtech. But, you know, I will say, like, our MK3S has been reliable. It's not been the best print quality, but it has been a reliable printer after we changed out the hot end setup. Everything else has been pretty good on it. So, you know, if it's worth the money and you like it, I don't think it's a terrible buy. But me personally, I would rather buy, you know, a Chinese machine and do some upgrades on it, build it exactly how I want it, and you're still going to be cheaper than buying a Prusa. But if you're somebody that doesn't have the ability or lacks the ability to take a basic printer and upgrade it, then the Prusa is not that bad of a deal, especially with the pre-assembled one. My whole thing is, though, if you're able to do the DIY build, so like they're cheaper non-assembled ones, the kits, if you can do that, I think you'd be fine buying like an Ender 3 or something and putting upgrades on it. So, all right. Let's see here. See, Makerspace A is still here, so I'm gonna wrap this up in a sec. I'm gonna ask these answer these last two questions here. Jose is asking about he said Ender 3. Wait. 3 Ender 3. Wait, 3 Ender 3 S1 Pluses or 3 Ender 3 S1 for starting a mini print firm? What do you recommend? If the S1 will give you the build size that you need to do what you need to do, I would go with the smaller machines. Basically, what I tell people is, what are you going to print? If what you will print will fit into an Ender 3 build volume, get an Ender 3, because you can pack more Ender 3s into the same area as, like, you know, 3 CR10s or S1 Pluses. Hang on one second. Comet, come here. Stop messing with stuff. That would be my thing. The S1 Plus is not a bad machine, but they do have those touchscreens, so if you're wanting to mess with stuff, you're going to have to convert the LCD. We do have kits for that, but again, that's more cost. My Ender 3 S1, I have our LCD kit on, I have our firmware on it. I'm looking at it right now. So I have our Easy ABL on there, our 5015 fan, and the LCD kit, and then I solid mounted the bed. I don't have too many modifications on it. I will say, though, I have had to take apart their filament sensor 5 times because it's false triggering. And it's this weird, overly complicated setup with rollers and an optical sensor. I am trying to get replacements in for those because a lot of people are, I'm assuming if I'm having issues, other people might be having issues as well. And I'm tired of opening up. It's like things are wearing out and the tolerances are getting too loose, so it thinks the filament's not in the sensor when it really is. But yeah, so if my short question is, I would go with the S1 if it'll fit your print sizes that you need. If it doesn't, then the S1 Plus is a decent machine. But I would say, if instead of the S1 Plus, give the Soval SV03 a look. I think that's the big one. Is that the big one, the SV03? I think it is. Because the SV03 is a 350 by 350 by 400. They're 459, and they don't have the crappy touchscreen. And they also have a standard Creality board in. I want to say, I think they're 32-bit. I think they're a 422 board. But the thing with the Ender 3 S1 series is that is a specific control board. So if your board dies, good luck finding a replacement for it. We used to carry them, and they were such a slow seller. We're not restocking them. You can't just drop in like our Easy board in it, or even the 427 Creality board, or even the Big Tree Tech boards. There's no drop-in boards on the market for them right now. I would recommend, if you need a bigger build volume, I would probably go with the SV03 from Soval. Soval is actually a really underrated company, in my opinion. I think they might have sent us like one printer, but I have bought all the other ones. Actually, look, we've spent over $1,500 with them over the last 2 years buying printers. I really like their printers. So I would say give Soval a shot, because if you want some bigger build volume, I would probably say go with the SV03. You're going to have an easier time finding parts if it needs repairs. You're going to have an easy time upgrading it if you want to upgrade it. Versus the S1 Plus, like it's lipstick on a pig. Now, I don't dislike my S1, but it is basically an Ender 3 with just some lipstick and a direct drive. So I like my S1. Would I buy another one? I probably wouldn't. Yeah. So, and then even then, if you're talking about the build volume, I would get an SV06, even with the knockoff power supply, because you're getting a knockoff power supply from Creality. You're not getting a Meanwhile anymore. even with a knockoff stock control board CPU, I would still take that over the Ender 3 S1. Apparently I'm not moving enough. My motion sensor turned everything off. And now it doesn't turn those back on. So anyways, all right. I think maybe we'll do a little hangout in a little bit. How's that sound? I don't think I have anything crazy going on. You guys can watch me fumble around with Bertha and this. And then we can go over some Home Assist and stuff too. So anyways, all right, the last one. So here, what do I think about the Bamboo Lab X1C? I am very curious to know because of all the hype around it. So I am seeing more people saying they're having issues with them. Now they've been out for a while and people have been running them. I don't like that not all, most of their key features, like all the AI stuff, it's all cloud-based. They're a company that's made, they're a Chinese company. I don't trust other companies with the data. Even with like we were talking about the home automation stuff earlier, I like everything local here. I don't like the walled garden. It's not a printer you're going to be easily able to modify and tinker with. Like, yeah, you could probably print some parts to like modify things on it, but you're locked into their ecosystem. That's a hard no for me. They look like a nice printer, but like there's also posts on their forum of when their cloud went down, people weren't able to use their printers correctly. Now, as far as I know, there is an SD slot on there, but a lot of the key features don't work if the internet's down. I don't like this. Same reason like I had a Cricut vinyl cutter. I got rid of it because you had to be online to use it. I don't want anything tied to any online crap for my printers. It should work standalone. That's my thing. So I will probably never buy a Bamboo Lab. They haven't reached out for us to review. My whole thing is I am also wondering like if they're paying content creators to talk about it. I know a lot, I'm not going to name any names, but I know like certain content creators, some of the bigger ones, they charge a lot of money to talk about products. And I know this because I've asked them, just, hey, if you can, would you guys be willing to, do a quick video on one of our things? And we get a thing saying back, it's going to be like $3,000 for talking about it for 30 seconds in a video. I'm wondering how much money is moving around with Bamboo Labs and creators that are pushing it. So I'm not saying all creators are getting paid, but I'm sure there are some that are probably getting money to promote the product. So yeah, I haven't had them reach out to me, so I can't tell you if that's what they're doing. But certain creators that I know charge an exorbitant fee for doing videos on products have covered those, and they have been pushing them heavily. So I don't know if it's just that maybe they have a good affiliate program and they're getting a lot of kickbacks because they are expensive machines. So even like a 5% commission is a decent little chunk. I don't know. I have no interest in the Bamboo printers. Like, I don't like stuff that is locked down. I don't like stuff that I can't easily fix. I don't like stuff that I have to go through the manufacturer to get parts for. I want to be able to get stuff from wherever. So I don't know. It's definitely, I think it's overhyped, especially now. Like, I got an ad for it actually, and I saw in the comments people talking about all the issues they had and how they're on like their third printer and they have to send the whole printer back to Bamboo and stuff. It was on a Facebook ad. So if you guys see them, look at the comments because people were talking about that. Yeah. No, there are definitely some videos from creators where they've gotten paid and they haven't disclosed it. We don't do that. I have to buy most of the printers. I tell you guys that. If it was sent to us, like no one has ever paid us to do any video on the printers. Like the most we've ever gotten is like, hey, we'll send you a printer. That's it. Which to be completely honest, printers aren't really that, they're not really useful to me. We have so many machines. We buy new machines to do development work on there, but like in terms of monetary value, like I've given away so many printers, it's not even funny. So anyways, I see Cody, your question caught my eye because I saw Easy Board. You didn't put the exclamation point, but I'll answer it. He said, can the Easy Board, can you microstep with them? I'm assuming you mean change the microstep. And yeah, you can actually go and edit the source code and you can go down to one full step all the way up to 1/256 of a step. And that's on the V1 and V2 boards. So, and the V2 boards, we should be getting those very soon. We were told the second week of April. So, yeah. I don't know. There's something about different printers that, you know, same reason I don't have Ultimakers. Like, Ultimakers are, you know, in their own little world. They're hard to modify. You know, they're not as locked down as the Bamboos, but, you know, I think I can't remember, but I've seen multiple people equating if bamboo printers to like the Apple of 3D printers, and I hate Apple. So I hate walled garden crap. Yeah, so I'd say give it another 6 months and everybody will be off the bamboo fad. You know, either they're going to get bored of it or Bamboo's not, you know, going to have enough marketing money to keep sending stuff out to people or paying people to do promotions. So if you guys notice, this market kind of goes in waves of, oh my God, this is the shiny thing over here and I'm interested in it. And then 6 months later, everybody's like, oh, squirrel. Oh, here's the new shiny thing. It's how it is. So anyways, we're going to wrap this up because we're at the 1 hour mark. I'm going to go ahead and give the good boys. They were pretty good today. What do you guys think? They're just sitting there gnawing on each other. Hey, dogs. Do you guys want a snacky? Do you guys want a snacky? Oh, yes, they do. All right, what are we going to do for the snacky? I got 4. You guys each get 2. Look at it. Well, you can't see him. Come here. Come here. Come here. Remo, sit. Speak. Good boy. Come here. Sit. Touch. 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 That's not. Come on, touch. Touch. That's not. Shake. Come on, shake. Oh my God, you guys are over. Okay, here. Will I calm you down? Remo, speak. Shake. Good boy. Comment, sit. Shake. Good boy. There you go. All right. They got their treats. So they're both young. Comet's like, I don't know if he is 7 months old or he's gonna be 7 months old. And Remo's just a little over 2. So they get like excited, like, oh my God, treats. So anyways, I hope you guys learned something today. I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. We do these every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Central Time. If I didn't get to your question, I apologize. We try to keep these to an hour. And I'll go ahead and, like I said, if you guys want to check out other clips, there's past streams on the channel. And we also download these streams, and I'll cut out segments that I think are worth listening to on their own as well. So if you guys check those out, you'll see the Ask Tim clips. So anyways, I hope you guys have an awesome day. I hope you guys stay safe with all these friggin' storms happening. And I will see you guys on the next one. As always, happy printing.